Hello and welcome everyone to the Tech Sharmit podcast. Today I am here with very special guest Toine Michielse. Toine is recognized as an expert in data management, cost optimization and performance. He is a strong motivator, leader and knowledgeable in data analytics and modern data science technologies such as Python, machine learning and data visualization. In this episode, we will explore the highlights of his technical journey and career milestones. But before we start the discussion, I'd like to thank Toyn for joining us today in this episode. Now, I request you to please initiate the discussion by telling us something about yourself.
Hello, Amit. Thank you very much for the invite. So my name is Toine Michielse. I was born and raised in the Netherlands, a very, very small country, somewhere up in the northeast of Europe. And yes, indeed, I've spent my entire career working in data management and everything that has to do with data. I started off as a young COBOL programmer. Work in those days working against IMS databases on the mainframe. And in my journey, I, I've done pretty much everything you can imagine. So from COBOL programming against IMS, at some point DB2 came into the market, so I started working with that as well. I quickly moved into a DBA role, a database administration role, administering both IMS and DB2 database at those times. At some point, I moved into system engineering, working as a sysproc. For that, I left IMS. I was focused completely on DB2, and yeah, I've done a lot of things. I've worked as a contractor. I worked for IBM. I worked for an insurance company in Switzerland. I currently work for Broadcom. But what's central in my career is data,
Okay.
and I love data. Data is a fantastic, valuable asset if you understand it and if you can make use of it.
Yes.
And my goal in life almost is to make sure that I understand the data and that I make data available in a consumable form to others.
Okay, so with this introduction, it is quite clear that you have explored various domains in IT industry sector, and now we would love to hear more about your journey. So, could you please tell us like a bit about your journey, like how you started your career, specifically in this data management field, like a bit about your educational journey. So, please tell a bit about that.
Okay, so my educational journey is interesting in that in the sense that I started to work before I finished education. Now that may
Okay.
sound odd, but yeah, I left high school and I started playing in a band. And before I actually entered a professional career, um, I just enjoyed life a little bit. Then I enjoyed, the start of my career. And during my career, I actually got the opportunity to, finish my my education in university, for instance, studying computer sciences in the Vrije Universiteit, a university in Amsterdam.
Okay.
Um, but what's more important, I guess, is the fact that the employer I worked for in those days, it was a steel factory. That employer was quite an interesting customer for IBM software, in the sense that we did a lot of what's called ESPs, early support programs, so
Mm-hmm.
like beta testing software for IBM. And with that was and because we did that, I had a lot of early exposure to software that would become important in the market. New releases that come to the field, and I really enjoyed being able to be prepared and supporting, my customers. my customers, the people I work with, my colleagues, the programmers in the organization, to be able to exploit, the new features and stuff like that. So, in my career, it's been always very, very important to be able to um, move forward,
Mhm.
exploit new technologies, see new ideas, and
Okay.
being able to enable others in the organization
Mhm.
to exploit those new features as well.
Okay. Okay. And if we talk about your career motivation, so what motivates you in your career, and are there any individual or maybe the experiences that have inspired you in your journey?
So what motivates me in my career mostly is what I referred to in just a second ago, and that is enabling people. I think
Mhm.
once you're in the IT industry, especially once you move into, let's say, a database administration role, or when you move into a system engineering role, what you do is you're enabling, your organization. You're enabling, for instance, programmers to use features that they need to perform their job better, perhaps. Um, and this is one aspect that I really, 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 really enjoy.
Okay.
Right? In my career, I've also been teaching. For instance, I've been teaching at a night school. I've been teaching databases at night school, and this
Okay.
is something that really, really, really inspires me. Being able to have knowledge, but also, or most importantly, share the knowledge
Share.
with other individuals. That is really, really what drives me. And are there specific individuals or experiences? Yes, there are individuals, and one may actually surprise you. One individual that really inspired me is is a person who has nothing to do with IT. It's my
Okay.
old fencing teacher. Fencing as the sport of fencing, not building fences around your house.
Hmm.
That's an individual that really taught me to look at the world in a different way. And he inspired me in the sense that um, you know what you do is one thing, but if you can make what you do important to other people, then it increases its value. And that's one thing that I always took to heart. So that is one individual that inspired me. The other individual that really really inspired me is my daughter.
Okay.
From whenever my daughter was from the time that my daughter was very young,
Hmm.
and I'm saying like 1, 2, 3 years old.
Okay.
As all children, they're very curious.
Yes.
But my daughter, for some reason, managed to maintain that curiosity, and she's always been, trying to learn and trying to learn more and more and more and more.
Okay.
And this is something that inspires me as well. I think this is something that I seek, that curiosity, because it's the curiosity that drives you forward in your career,
Yes.
and it's the curiosity that drives you to acquire new knowledge, and then combine that with the drive to, you know, use that knowledge to the better, to the best of others, to enable others, to drive forward.
Correct.
I think that combination is very powerful and important for me.
Okay. And I think your daughter has completed her graduation recently, right? Because
Yes,
I
she
saw
did.
that post. Okay.
She did. Yes, I'm very, very proud of her. I'm very, very proud of her.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fine. As a leader, how do you approach mentoring and developing the next generation of IT professional within your team and organization? Are there any specific qualities or skills you prioritize in potential leaders? Because you have good experience as a teacher as well, right? As you mentioned earlier, that you have spent some time as a with a teaching profession. So, how do you approach mentoring now?
So that's a really, really cool question. I'm sort of repeating myself. What I find important is curiosity in people. I
Yes.
think that is an aspect that I look for,
Yes.
and curiosity in the broadest sense of the word. So, uh, curiosity in a child is very easy. a child is always trying to learn.
Yes.
That's what I said to my daughter. Um, but there's a difference in people that that sit in their that have been sitting in their place in their career for I don't know how many years. They sit there and they're very, very content with where they are. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, what I try to do when I'm mentoring people is to enable them to move forward,
Hmm.
to go to the next stage in their career, for instance. And as far as I'm concerned, the best way to do that is to make sure that you try to push them to their limits and maybe even beyond their limits. So if you are, let's say you are working in your field, I don't care what your field is, you're working in your field and you're quite content to be there. However, to go to your next level, you may have to, I know, cross a hurdle
Yes.
that scares you, right? Then you might be, you know, trying to hold off on that. So what I try to do when I mentor people is to 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 get their focus away from the hurdle and
Okay.
rather focus on the journey towards, right? So if you can take away the anxiety about the hurdle and just focus on little steps that people can take, you can sort of very gently push them towards the point where they would have to cross their own
Yes.
boundary. And that's how I approach mentoring. And for me, I feel that's been very successful. And that's also something that I learned from, again, my fencing teacher. He's
Okay.
always been, trying to push me a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, until I've crossed that boundary. And then I
Okay.
look back and I recognize, hang on, that was the hurdle I was so afraid of.
Mhm. Yeah, so yeah, I think this is something very effective technique that everyone can use in order to deal with their problem as well, and even for the mentoring. Because if you are planning day by day, you are improving yourself, then for sure it will help us to tackle those situations. So yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
habit. And now, like, suppose for those who are looking to build their career in the IT consultancy or specialize in the mainframe system and data management. So, what advice would you give based on your experiences and the lessons you have learned for those specific person?
Okay, so Amit, you want the long answer or the short answer?
Yeah, you can come up with long answer, no problem.
Okay, because you're now touching upon something that's very, very near and dear to my heart. I mean,
Okay,
you've combined mainframe as well as data
data
management. Those
management.
two
Yeah.
those two things they're very so I can speak the whole hour. Oh, we don't
Okay.
have an hour, but
Yeah.
I could speak hours on this. So I think when you want to build your career in mainframe and or data management,
Hmm.
it doesn't really matter how you combine those things. It's no different from building any other career. First of all, it has to be something that you like, that you
Yes.
love, because no matter what, every career is going to take a lot of energy from you. And I know you, Amit, you invest so much energy in what you like and what you do. But it's the same with every career. So if you want to be good at something, if you really want to have a career that keeps pushing you forward, then please choose something you love.
Yes.
Now, coming to the mainframe is something that I love.
Hmm.
And the reason I love it is because, I've been with it, throughout my career, and I've
Yes.
seen the mainframe evolve. And I know that some people say, the mainframe is sort of old-fashioned and it's
Mm.
old. I can tell you it's not. It's probably the most modern machine you can look at today. Um, so, um, yeah, I mean, and I think that sort of expresses, the fact that I love working on the mainframe. And in a similar fashion, I love working on data management. So that is the most important thing I can express. Make sure you choose something that you really, really like, because that will enable you to put in the hours that you need to do to become a specialist or to become to stay on the progression in your career. So that's one thing. The second thing and is that I would recommend everyone
Mm-hmm.
to become a what I call a T-shaped person, a
Okay.
T-shaped person.
Okay.
What that means is, or what I mean with that is, make sure that you become a specialist in some area,
Mm-hmm.
but please, please also make sure you look at other areas as well that are somewhat related. That's what I mean with the T shape, right? So go deep, become a specialist in one area, but
Mm-hmm.
also be broad.
Yes.
And I think that's becoming more and more important in today's world.
Yes, and the example which you took, the T-shaped, is very interesting, and I think it is now it is clear to each and every audience that yes, why we are mentioning it as a T-shape, because for one particular area you should dig it and you should figure out all the related things to that, but also you should focus on the wider thing like all other related stuff. So that's a very good, I would say, the example that you have took here in order to explain this thing. Okay, so other thing I want to ask you, like, how have the technological advancements such as cloud computing influenced your approach to IT consultancy and the infrastructure design over the years?
That's a cool question. And I think, things like cloud, as you mentioned it, right? I mean, that's the thing that's relatively recent if you look at the whole time scale of IT. Um, if you go back through history, there will always be pivotal moments, pivotal technologies that enter the landscape, and then you have to adjust to.
Yes.
Now, one of the things that specifically cloud technology have changed me in the way that I look at infrastructure, I look at the way you do consultancy, is the fact that it enables us,
Hmm.
on the mainframe, um, to provide services to a larger crowd.
Hmm.
Sorry,
No, no, it's okay.
um, and what I mean with that is that all of a sudden it becomes very important that other platforms
Hmm.
are able to consume services from the mainframe, for instance, for all the right reasons. Right? Maybe because that's where the data is managed. Maybe because the data is managed there because it's, a famously secure and very scalable and robust platform, right?
Okay.
However, there's also good sides about other platforms that are potentially cloud provisioned. And so one thing that those new technologies have taught me is to focus not only about to not only focus on the quality of the service that we provide, but also focus on how they can be consumed
Okay.
either from within the platform or from outside of the platform. And so opening up services, that's one of the things that is now, always in my mind when I think about infrastructure.
Okay. Okay. And if we talk about the future of mainframe, because as we know that there are some people who believe that mainframe is about to die or it is going somewhere. So, how do you see the future of this mainframe industry?
I think the future of the mainframe industry is actually quite bright.
Okay.
There's platforms that can take care of certain aspects of the mainframe,
Mhm.
and there's other platforms that can take care of other aspects of the mainframe. However, none of the platforms that is out there in the industry today
Mhm.
will be able to take care of all the value propositions of the mainframe as it is.
Okay.
And so I think I'm sure, I'm 100% sure, there's no
Mhm.
doubt in my mind that I will retire on the mainframe. I will retire while and the mainframe is still going to be active.
Okay.
Is the role of the mainframe going to change? Of course it's going to change. That is inherent to the industry we're in. Everything is always subject to change.
Yes.
And that's a good thing rather than a bad thing. Change is sometimes scary to people, and I
Yes.
understand that. However, change always opens up opportunities. And
Yes.
what I what I what I talked about earlier, right? The fact that we open up the mainframe, that's an opportunity. That's an opportunity rather than a threat to the mainframe or to the platforms that want to communicate with the mainframe. So in that sense, I'm not worried at all. I mean, there's the scalability of the platform is still out of this world. It's unique in this world. The availability of this world, it's out of this world. There's no other platform that has active uh, um, architectures when it comes to availability, right? Of course, the distributed world or the non-mainframe world, they have caught up and they have created excellent solutions for failover. But there's always this failover aspect, right? Security, when you look at security in mainframe is out of this world. It's so
Yes.
easy to control in mainframe environment. And I'm not saying at all that the distributed world is insecure. It's
Mm-hmm.
just more difficult to get a very, very large infrastructure secured to the point where the mainframe is secured.
Okay.
So yes, if you take all those factors, and there's a lot more,
Mm-hmm.
performance, etc., etc. If you take all those factors and combine those factors, then yes, I believe there is still a very, very bright future for the mainframe.
Okay. Okay. So we can say that yes, mainframe has bright future, but it will evolve by the time, and that is good thing for this industry, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah. Okay. All right. So now my next question is, where do you see the future of data management heading, particularly in terms of leveraging machine learning and AI within the enterprise architectures?
Right. So, a cool question. Those things that you mentioned, machine learning and AI, right?
Yeah.
What do they depend upon? How are AI models built? They're built on data, aren't they?
Yes.
They rely on data. And not only do they rely on data, they also rely on data that is reliable. If you have unreliable data flowing into your machine or learning algorithm that ultimately, creates a model,
Hmm.
then of course there's going to be quality issues with the models that you use.
Yes.
So I think that with the current focus on machine learning, the current focus on AI, there's also going to be more focus on certain aspects of data management as to quality assurance. How do you know where the data comes from? How do you know what has influenced that data set that you're actually going to feed into your AI algorithm, your machine learning algorithm to produce an AI model? So I think that there's going to be again a change in focus on certain aspects of
Hmm.
data management. Um, but the focus is going to be more and more intense. So if you're looking for a career in IT, then you're going to be very, very safe with a career in data management.
Data
There's no
management.
doubt. There's no doubt in my mind that it's only going to increase in importance in the modern world.
Okay. Okay. So my next question is related to IBM Champion program. So you are also a one of well-known IBM champions. So how did you become one, and what does it mean to you?
The reason I became an IBM champion is because um, I joined Broadcom about 5 years now,
Hmm.
and one of my roles in Broadcom was to advocate data
Okay.
management, our data management solutions, and the mainframe in general. And the way I did that was by speaking at conferences. I love to speak at conferences. And this is one of the reasons why IBM said, okay, well, based on what you've been doing for the platform, you can be an IBM champion. So I said, okay, well, here's what I did. These are the conferences that I spoke at, and they said, okay, you'll be an IBM champion. Now, what that meant for me was that I noticed that being an IBM champion, you do have a little advantage
Mhm.
when you want to become a speaker at a conference. When they see that you're an IBM champion, they say, ah, you probably know what you're talking about,
Yes.
even if they don't know you. So that gave me the opportunity to speak more and more and more in the industry. And this is exactly what I want to do. I want to, excite people like yourself and like colleagues that are not in the industry yet, people that are still in university. I want to make them enthusiastic about what we're doing, about data management, about mainframe computing, about open computing, where we combine mainframe and non-mainframe platforms. And I want to grab each and every opportunity again I can get to um, you know to sort of leave my mark on those people and
Okay.
help them. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now my next question is related to your professional career. Like you have had an impressive career spanning over 30 plus years in IT, focusing extensively on DB2 and ZOS and data management. So, could you share with us some pivotal moment that shaped your journey in this particular area?
So the first I laugh a little bit because I go back in memory. So the first
Okay.
pivotal moment was the following, and you may laugh at this, but my very first encounter with IBM was actually driving a forklift truck in
Okay.
an IBM warehouse in the Netherlands.
Mhm.
So it's a warehouse where all the components are gathered and they're being ordered. And I just drove a forklift truck around and got all the components, put them on a plate, and shipped them. That's my first encounter with IBM.
Okay.
And while I was there, I said, "Oh, that's got to be more to life than this." And that's when I entered, an education to become a programmer. So that's moment one. However, I was associated with IBM technology. Then years went by, I did my career. I went through programmer, DBA, assistant programmer. And while I was assistant programmer, I got an invitation by IBM to work in the DB2 development lab for a year. Or initially it was only 6 months, but it turned out to be a year. And as a customer, system programmer, of course, that's a unique opportunity, right? I was
Mhm.
working on DB2. I used that technology, and now I was sort of invited to come and work in the Valhalla of DB2,
Okay.
the DB2 development lab. So, young kid from the Netherlands, I got on a plane. I landed in San Francisco, and I spent at the end of the day, I spent a year in DB2 development, working on data sharing. That was a pivotal moment. All of a sudden, I saw the technology from the creation point of view,
Okay.
right? I've always been on the consuming point of view. Now I look at it from the creation point of view. Um, and not only that, I mean, that was just my personal experience, but as a result of that, IBM asked me to join a program where I would be, helping other customers to exploit the technology that I've been working on in the lab.
Okay.
That was the Parallel Sysplex program. And so I joined IBM, and I started working for them, supporting customers worldwide in going from traditional systems, single image systems to parallel sysplex environments. And my role was to enable DB2 data sharing, uh,
Okay.
exploiting sysplex. And again, that was a pivotal moment, right? I'd seen the inside of the lab, from
Yes.
the inventor's point of view, from IBM point of view. And now I was not only consuming the technology, but I was also being exposed to all the different ways that different customers would consume that technology. And I learned so much about what is important in mainframe computing, not because I had the experiences of just one customer, the customer that I worked for, but I had the shared experiences and problems of a very, very large community of customers worldwide. So I think those were really pivotal moments in my career.
Okay.
And finally, I guess one pivotal moment was when I joined Broadcom. I currently work for Broadcom.
Okay.
You see it over there. That's the
Yes.
company I work for. And the reason I think that has that is a pivotal moment in my career is because um, you may have guessed during this interview that I really, really like the mainframe. And you may have guessed from answers that I gave that for me, what's really, really important is to continuously define and redefine the role of the mainframe in a modern enterprise.
Okay.
And Broadcom has given me that opportunity to work on that and to advocate that to the max. So
Okay.
I mean, I feel really, 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 really well at home in Broadcom because of their view of the importance of the mainframe and what it needs to maintain that importance of the mainframe in the industry. And they gave me all the opportunity to work with people like yourself, Amit, on occasions like this, to advocate and propagate
Mhm.
and help the platform forward.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, now I would like to ask my last question because we have limitation of time. So, could you please tell about bit about your hobbies or interest that you pursue outside of your professional life that helps you to stay motivated and inspired?
Okay, so that's easy. So the first and foremost, it will be my daughter Anna.
Okay.
She, if I look at her, you know, that gives me all the energy I need to move forward.
Okay.
But I have a demanding job, and I also need time to clear my mind
Yes.
and the way I do that is twofold. I like to fly a paraglider. I'm a licensed
Okay.
paraglider pilot in
Okay.
Switzerland. That's where I picked this hobby up, and I love to do that. I just love to be, free in all dimensions. Being free as a bird, literally.
Yes.
Um, the other thing, and that's more closely related to my career, um, is I play drums. I play drums in a rock band. Um, a band here in Madrid called Ciencia Urbana. We have
Okay.
some CDs out on Spotify if you happen to like rock. But it first of all it gives me a release for any excess energy. Playing drums is quite energetic, but it's also creative, and I think creativity is another aspect that I really 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 value highly in everyone working in the IT industry, or perhaps
Yes.
other industries as well. So those are the things that keep me sane.
Okay. So yeah, we can say that you are a multi-talented guy who knows how to fly glider and all these things. The band. So yeah, it's nice to talking to you in this show, and thank you so much for joining this episode and for sharing your time and expertise with us. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, and thanks for the invite.
Thanks.